Well, the time is just gone 9:15 a.m. and this hour of news and views is brought to you and sponsored by Africa Muslims Agency. Africa Muslims Agency, a beacon of hope to communities for over 35 years in Africa and beyond. And as we continue with our broadcast this morning, right here on News and Views on this Friday morning, shortly we are going to be joined by Dr. Yvonne Ridley. And while everything is playing around us, in early on a very, very interesting discussion with the chairperson of Sinn Féin, Declan Kearney, and Yvonne Ridley is in Scotland. And while all of this is playing out, the brutal Israeli attack on the north of Gaza still continues. The Jabalia refugee camp, the hospitals, and Israeli troops are actually forcing everyone out, opening fire. We're talking about 177,000 people with this latest invasion where people have been displaced. And also at the same time, looking at the global initiatives, and we are talking particularly about Nelson Mandela's grandson, and Dr. Yvonne Ridley has tweeted or posted about this particular incident where he holds a diplomatic passport. He is an elected South African, or he was an elected South African politician. And the government of Britain, obviously, looking at refusing this visa. So we'll shed a lot more light on this issue. But again, when one looks at the Irish, again, providing, in fact, ignoring what England is doing, and also at the same time calling for the recognition of the state of Palestine. Dr. Yvonne Ridley, assalamu alaikum as always, and welcome to you.
Walaikum salam.
Yes, Yvonne, there's just so much that one can talk about that we can unpack. We've just seen a year of this genocide with disastrous consequences that has unfolded, and it's still non-stop. It is relentless. We know what is taking place in Lebanon. And again, now, while the world's attention is diverted to what's happening in Lebanon, we see what has taken place at the Jabalia refugee camp yesterday as well. But we still need to continue regardless. And this is the reason why we know Mandla Mandela has been at the forefront of the struggle here in South Africa, traveling the world. And this post of yours in particular, referring to the grandson of Nelson Mandela, and more importantly, looking at the hypocrisy of some of the countries, even a country like England.
Well, it's really so many of us feel ashamed that the chief is being treated like this, and it's just unbelievable. You know, we have a Labour government in this country, and it was the Conservative government which called Nelson Mandela a terrorist. In fact, it was Margaret Thatcher. And here we have a Labour government that has just taken this extraordinary decision to a visa ban on Nelson Mandela's grandson for no other reason than he supports Palestine. Well, so did Nelson Mandela. And to silence one of the most powerful voices in the world today it's shameful. It really is shameful. And this morning we are heading to Edinburgh to show our disgust at a big demonstration because Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party and the British Prime Minister, is heading up to Edinburgh today. And people are outraged on so many levels with this government. And I didn't think they could plunge even lower in terms of popularity. But to ban Nelson Mandela's grandson is just extraordinary.
Yes, Yvonne, just to understand, looking at Starmer, looking at the Labour government, and their relationship with the Zionist lobby, and they seem to be enjoying a very, very close relationship. And as a result, we see what is happening to Mandla Mandela.
Well, it is true that one of the lobbies, Labour Friends of Israel, which on its own website says it sets out to promote foreign interests for Israel, uh, it is astonishing, but more than half of the cabinet ministers in Keir Starmer's government, including Keir Starmer, his deputy Angela Rayner, the foreign minister David Lammy, they're all in the pay and sway of Labour Friends of Israel and have received over £300,000 in donations, I believe, um, in recent years. You know, this is not a government that is independent and free thinking. It is in the grip of a foreign power, and that foreign power is Israel. And that is why we are in this sorry state today where they have banned Nelson Mandela's grandson from coming to England, Scotland. Of course, the Irish have told them to clear off. They're not going to entertain this visa ban. What they've said is he has a diplomatic passport and that should be respected. And if there's any additional form filling to do, then he can do it when he arrives in Ireland. But he should have opened his tour last night in Sheffield, and he did do a live satellite link anyway, because I think the organisers were prepared for this sort of nonsense from the British government. And I would say that the Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, should hang her head in shame. But of course, she's another one who gets funds from the pro-Israeli lobby groups. And, you know, it's shameful. This government is on the take for everything. They get clothed by other people, they're given holidays, free tickets, they're freeloading, and now they're taking money from the Zionist lobby, and this is the result.
Well, you know, what you are saying is very true, because just the other day I saw a clip of a British woman talking about how ashamed she is of being British, for the very reasons that you speak about, for the very reasons that you talk about the politicians and how low they have actually stooped. And we see this a global trend when people like Starmer, or even if you look at America, the best, like somebody like Trump, for example, are these the best people that the world actually finds, and particularly in certain countries, to actually govern their countries, to rule their countries? I mean, that actually speaks volumes, and I'm sure, where you are as well, and with the protest action that is taking place. It's just disgusting. I can't find, Yvonne, I can't find any other word to actually describe some of these politicians and their actions.
Well, all I would say to your listeners, and I know that you do have a lot of listeners in the UK, all I would say is at the next elections, whether they're local authority, whether they're general elections, local, regional, national, do not vote for Labour, because they are not acting for you. They're under the grip of a foreign power. I mean, can you imagine if this was Labour Friends of Russia, and this was an enemy of Putin coming into the country? People wouldn't stand separate. So why should we have the wishes of a foreign power pushed in this country? It's astonishing. It really is. We came out of Europe because they wanted freedom, they called it, to be free of European involvement. And now we're being dictated to by a country which isn't even the size of a South African game park.
Well, certainly, Yvonne, and I suppose this is a trend that we're seeing right across Europe as well. You look at governments, and we've seen in the last year since this genocide has unfolded in Gaza, and where Palestine has become it's become a massive talking point in the build-up to elections, during elections. Where do individuals stand? Where do politicians stand? Where do governments stand? Where do parties stand as far as the Palestinian cause is concerned? Yet, what happens is, for some reason or the other, these politicians will never ever learn. And it is up to yourself, myself, and it is up to the people on the ground to now start charting their way forward and to take destiny in their own hands.
Well, we're told that we get the government we deserve. And again, I would appeal to British voters, for goodness sake, next time choose more wisely, because this is a government that is on the take. It's taking from pensioners. Pensioners are going to lose their winter fuel payments this winter, and apparently we're in for a really harsh winter. And yet, and the government says, well, we don't have the money, we're having to make these difficult decisions. And yet yesterday, President Zelensky of Ukraine walked out of Downing Street with a $3 billion a year deal. Well, where is that money coming from? This government can find the money to supply bombs to other countries, bombs that are killing women and children, and yet it can't keep its own pensioners warm. It's a very sad state of affair. The Labour Party used to represent the working classes. Now it's more in tune with Tel Aviv than Westminster. It's shameful. And if the chief is listening today, tell him, we're doing our best to have this sort of censorship removed, and we hope to get his visa restored, or his diplomatic passport restored. We're in a world today where there is no respect for diplomacy, where diplomats are being targeted, and historically, diplomats have been able to come and go freely, and yet now that we're under Zionist control, that isn't the case. We're no longer a free country. I thought I'd woken up in Riyadh this morning, and as I say, it's shameful, which is why I'm getting ready for a demonstration in Edinburgh today.
Yes, what you're saying is so true. Being held hostage by by the Zionist lobby, and also their leader Benjamin Netanyahu. And are we surprised that Nelson Mandela's grandson was refused a visa when Netanyahu himself told the United Nations chief that you are not welcome in my country. This is the contempt. This is the arrogance that we see going around, Yvonne.
Well, let's take this opportunity to look at the good things that are happening. The Irish forces are standing firm in Lebanon, facing down the barrels of Israeli guns, and they're there as a UN peacekeeping force. and they were told by the IDF, right, you can clear off now. And they've said, no, we're not going anywhere. And so the Irish, are standing firm. If that had been the British Army, Starmer would have told them, right, clear off, you're upsetting Israel. And it's astonishing, it really is, that a great little country like Ireland is punching well above its weight, while here in Scotland we're being humiliated. And this is giving fuel to the independence cause. And that will be something that will be on the agenda of those in Edinburgh today when we gather outside Queen Elizabeth House, which is the colonial outpost of the British government.
Well, let's see what happens, what develops today as well, and obviously we will be following developments as well. I'm sure you will be posting about this, so we would be taking obviously following some of your posts on social media as well, just to provide some updates. But for now, we thank you. We say shukran to you, Dr. Yvonne Ridley, for your time with us this morning. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam. Thank you.
Dr. Yvonne Ridley with us this morning, and with that, we're going to go for a break. And also, we are going to be in conversation with journalist and content creator from Gaza. We will be talking with Hamza Chalan. And I must say, we at Salam Media excited at this point in time. It's still in its infancy stage, but to get someone like Hamza Chalan out to South Africa, we will be obviously talking to him. And more importantly, he is also from the Jabalia camp. And today we've seen this crisis unfolding once again, where is the invasion of the occupying forces displaying a further 177,000 Palestinians. So after this, we will be talking with content creator and journalist Hamza Chalan.